that's the way. Now, you know, when I became a kind of a guru or whatever, and people started paying attention to my views, which really, I guess, happened after Britain leaving the European exchange rate mechanism, I began to have the ability to affect the market, which then created problems for me, which I could in the end really only solve by getting out of the market.
Mr. Soros, I wonder if we could think a little bit about the very long-term consequences of reflexivity, because it seems to me that over the long term, societies do learn from their direct disastrous mistakes, and that is a form of reflexivity. It modifies the ideology. I think, for instance, of the fact that the free markets are pretty well established around the world today. That's been a marvelous lesson that the world has learned. But there's hope in that. Don't you agree?
Yes, I think that the markets are functioning better, being let's say, less interfered with.
Yes.
But I still expect that you will have disruptions in the market, discontinuities, because of the basic uncertainty built into the market. And I'm kind of looking for where that may come from. And while you really have increasingly sophisticated management of the financial system, that sophistication comes from a better understanding of the reflexive connections. So while you still have sort of the classical economic theory underlying sort of being the underlying theory, the behavior of the financial authorities actually is guided by a greater understanding of the reflexive connection between markets and...
I was just using markets as an example.
Well, it's a good example.
Of how societies learn.
Yeah, it's a good example.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think that, for instance, Greenspan was really a master of understanding these various connections.
They're dealing with uncertainty.
And dealing with uncertainty.
Yes.
And actually, you know, the decision of the Fed currently to indicate that they are very reluctant to raise interest rates because they expect a slowdown coming from the housing market.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're trying to anticipate it.
Yeah.
You see, I think it's very far-sighted.
Yeah.
So there is a very definite learning process.
Yeah.
Let's take one back there, then Mark.
Your vision of the open society is clearly an evolution of your reflexive thinking, and an evolution in that, as you just mentioned with Karl Popper and your evolution. What happens to ideas like that in terms of reflexivity when they move from the relatively modest scale of what you've done with open society funds to government investment in the same values? And there's something seems to go terribly wrong with the scale. And I'm just interested in your reflexive theory on what happens when, say, AID or World Bank does the same thing or says they're doing the same thing as what you've tried to do in the Open Society Fund. What happens with the scale, and what is that teaching you?
It applies to my own engagement because, I'm also sort of getting more ambitious, carried away by my success up to that point. And who knows when I'm going to run into some, and already I have, from time to time, gone a little too far in some directions. So there's always this problem of if you hit on an idea that seems to work, then you get carried away and you take it too far. So, and I speak from personal experience. Now, there is a different problem with the activities of the foundation as compared to the official authorities. And the difference is that the people in the foundation actually care about the issues in which they are involved. They really want to achieve, what their objective is, whatever that may be. Whereas the organizations, they may have a certain mission when they are formed, but then they are primarily concerned with self-preservation. And the concerns that are supposed to guide them take second place. And that's a generalization that I think applies. Now, of course, we also, as we become an organization, are subject to the same thing. In other words, one of the big problems we faced as a foundation was to recognize that we are a bureaucracy. And I now recognize that we are a bureaucracy and act like a bureaucracy. But it took some time to realize that we are not exempt from these limitations of bureaucracy. And then, when it comes to international organizations, you have another level of problems, which is that they are associations of states. And states have interests but no principle. That was an instance where the intervention of the New York Fed was very successful. They basically led to an orderly winding down of the positions instead of a disorderly default. So these problems need to be recognized and dealt with, and that's what central banks are there for. The breakdown of the ERM was, actually worked in favor of Britain. They lost some money in abandoning an unsustainable exchange rate, but they were actually quite grateful for the efforts I made on their behalf. They were noticeably more tolerant of my activities than, let's say, the Asian countries.